All right, good evening. Monday, April 6th, 6 o'clock, regular meeting, special meeting of the Windsor Heights City Council. Roll call.
Susan Skewes.
Here.
Joseph Jones.
Here.
Fletcher Berry.
Here.
Lauren Campbell.
Here.
And Teresa Harms is maybe here.
We'll see.
Late.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Approval of the agenda.
Second.
Roll call.
Susan Skewes.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Fletcher Berry.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
3A, public hearing on the proposed tax rate levy. Motion.
So move.
Second.
Roll call.
Susan Skewes.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Fletcher Berry.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
This is the public hearing on the proposed tax rate levy for the upcoming budget. If there is any public comment, please come to the podium, state your name. Make your comments no more than 5 minutes. Okay,
Motion to close.
Second.
roll call.
Susan Skewes.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Fletcher Berry.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call.
Susan Skewes.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Fletcher Berry.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
All right, regular meeting of the Windsor Heights City Council. Approval of the agenda.
Second.
Roll call.
Susan Skewes.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Fletcher Berry.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
3A, presentation from Bravo President Sally Dix.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me here this evening.
Oh, hold on, Sally.
It's like a minute.
Was there a motion in a second?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
How about
roll call.
What are we doing?
You're approving the agenda.
Susan Skewes.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Fletcher Berry.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
Good, Sally.
Okay. Do you have a presentation? Do you have slides all set? Excellent. Thank you so much. Appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. We're very grateful to partner with the City of Windsor Heights, and especially want to thank Council Member Lauren Campbell, who represents you on our Board of Directors. Also want to recognize Rachel Gulick and Leah Brown, who are here tonight representing Girls Rock, which is one of the organizations that Bravo supports that is headquartered here in the City of Windsor Heights. While we're working on the presentation, there are not a lot of new faces around this table, but just as a reminder, Bravo Greater Des Moines has been serving as the region's Arts Council since 2004. Basically, we believe that means our job is to align arts and culture with everything the region is trying to achieve. The model is relatively simple. We have individual agreements with 16 cities plus Polk County, and we leverage hotel motel tax funds to execute a regional strategy in support of arts, culture, and heritage. This funding makes up 95% of Bravo's annual revenue, and we are intentionally built to rely on this single revenue stream without additional fundraising. That's both so we don't compete for funds with the organizations we were formed to support, and so we can keep administrative costs low. It costs money to raise money. This model allows us to pass through as much of those dollars directly to the organizations. We are governed by a board that includes one representative from every community that's investing in Bravo. So you all have a voice at our table for every decision that is being made. This is especially important because Bravo was created and has only ever existed as a regional entity. You'll hear me talk a little bit about our balance between local and regional priorities as we move on here. Excellent timing. We are on the next one. Thank you. Perfect. So even though our charge has always been broad, grant making has always been our primary tool for delivering on this promise. And Bravo meets a need for a transparent, best practice regional investment of public funds that is efficient, accountable, and impactful. Just again, as a reminder, prior to Bravo, cities were still investing in arts and culture, but y'all were meeting one-on-one with every nonprofit organization. You then had to consider investments, process investments, manage investments, evaluate the impact of those investments, and then I'm sorry to tell you, but you had to start over again the following year. This took a huge amount of city time and resources for the staff and the council, not to mention the dollars you were putting out the door. And it did require each individual community to come up with their own criteria and process, which was not efficient. Just for context, instead of one presentation from me, if you were doing that today, you would likely expect presentations from the 67 current cultural partners that report having significant impact on residents of Windsor Heights. Through Bravo, we take care of all of that for you. This also relieves you, in addition of that administrative burden, it also relieves you from that personal connection of having to make decisions about local investments in organizations that are led by your neighbors, your family, and your friends. Next slide. General operating support grant for nonprofit organizations accounts for the vast majority of our grant making. And this year we're investing, as I said, in 83 organizations. I'm proud to say that those organizations are located in 11 of our 17 2080 communities. We do recognize that many of these organizations are not well known outside of their city, but they do meet different needs and they provide critical pathways for creative engagement that is close to home. These vibrant local organizations are essential to a vibrant region and a critical pathway for direct funding into our partner communities. But we also understand, of course, that Bravo's investment in the major regional attractions is critical. Those, of course, are the premier assets that a region generally only needs one of to provide world-class experiences. I can tell you with 100% confidence that attendees are not necessarily motivated by where an organization is located. But we know that our 2080 partners do consider that as part of the value proposition for investing in Bravo. And if Bravo only invests in those regional organizations, next slide, it means that we're only able to support organizations located in 3 of Bravo's 17 partner communities. Again, we do know that these organizations are the ones that are most likely to draw a broad audience and drive that cultural tourism that feeds hotel motel taxes, which is why they are currently receiving more than 70% of Bravo's available funds. But our board does feel strongly that the balance between the local organizations and these regional organizations is critically important to the vibrancy Bravo is charged with maintaining. Next slide. Again, Bravo serves as a regional entity. We were not designed to track the local impact, and a dollars in, dollars out metric is not going to reflect the true value of our partnership. In fact, I can tell you that more than 600,000 residents last year crossed municipal boundaries to engage in the region's vibrant cultural offerings. And we can also tell you that for every single one of our 2080 partners, resident participation in Bravo-funded organization closely tracks with community size. However, we do understand that local data is your job. That's not our primary purpose, but we do understand that that's your job. So it's important. I'm delighted to be able to tell you that Bravo made it direct investments last year in 2 nonprofit arts organizations that are headquartered in Windsor Heights for a total of $51,500 in operating support. And the city of Windsor Heights also received a public art grant totaling $40,000 last year. If you were measuring direct return on investment, Windsor Heights is in a pretty good spot. Next slide. As I said, Windsor Heights residents also do benefit from investments that Bravo is making that are outside the city limits. We know that more than 8,000 tickets were sold to Windsor Heights residents to participate in paid programs offered by Bravo Cultural Partners. An additional nearly 4,000 admissions to free programs were provided to Windsor Heights residents. And student engagement was also really high, with more than 1,300 student experiences provided to Windsor Heights elementary school classes. So I think these numbers clearly show that our regional investment strategy is impacting Windsor Heights residents locally. Next slide. We do know that there are conversations about property tax reform that is putting immense financial pressure on our cities. We appreciate the need for fiscal accountability. As your community conversations continue, as your budgets are finalized, please remember that Bravo has virtually no ability to replace any lost hotel motel tax revenue. It's also important for you to understand that the organizations that Bravo supports are already generating the vast majority of their revenue from other sources. There's just not a lot more blood to squeeze from those stones. So any new funding to support lost revenue from Bravo is pretty unlikely. That means that reductions in public investments in Bravo will likely reduce the availability of accessible and affordable programs and those engagement opportunities for your residents. It will also, I guarantee you, increase competition for available funds. It doesn't mean you won't get asked. It just means they'll be coming directly to you. We take our role as your partner very seriously. You're not just an ATM, and we do not get to come to you and just assume that we're going to get funded every year. So we're trying to do our part to support policies that make continued investment possible. Unfortunately, we don't have a lobbyist and we're not especially influential, but we did produce a one-pager that hopefully showed up in your packets tonight that talk about how arts and culture and Bravo's investing specifically are tied to those regional and state priorities and what potential cuts would mean. We have distributed that document to the Iowa League of Cities, the Technology Association of Iowa, the Iowa Business Council, the Greater Des Moines Partnership. Basically, anyone who will make eye contact with me has a copy of that document. And we're doing our best to make sure that they understand all of the issues that arts and culture are touching. We're also really trying to leverage, one more click on that, really trying to leverage that talking point that the arts and cultural investments that Bravo is making are actually generating tax revenue. This is not a loss in revenue. This is a huge increase. The year these data were collected, Bravo invested about $4.5 million in the cultural sector. That then generated $31 million in local and state tax revenue. So the ROI is strong, and it's an important message if, in fact, economics are truly the driving factor for these decisions. Last slide. I do try to keep these presentations short. Just a couple of notes here on how you can get some more information about Bravo, other ways to get engaged. Like I said, we are grateful for your partnership and for the opportunity to have efficiently leveraged the funding that you're putting into our organization. Thank you again to Councilmember Campbell for representing the city of Windsor Heights, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions for Sally?
Sally, is there any pending or questionable legislation besides when we talk about property taxes that's on your mind?
There is one at the state legislature that we're watching right now that potentially could change the way the hotel motel, the code for how hotel motel taxes can be allocated. It narrows it in such a way to focus so specifically on tourism that I do think it would cause some challenges for cities to be able to continue to invest in Bravo in our current format. So it doesn't appear to be going anywhere right now, but it is sitting in Ways and Means, and we're going to keep our eyes on that one. There's some other federal legislation that's not going to directly impact us immediately, but some interesting conversations about nonprofits and what they can and can't do that I think would have some broader implications on tax exempt status and donor relations, and could cause more uncertainty, which our nonprofit sector certainly doesn't need right now. So those are the two things that we're watching. Thanks for asking.
Other questions?
Just a comment. Thank you for all that you do. I know how important, not just, the arts are, but all the cultural stuff that you do. We really appreciate it, and all the work that you've done with Lauren to kind of make Windsor Heights shine. Just say it that way.
We're really excited to see your name on our list of grant recipients. So good progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally.
Thank you.
All right, item 4, public forum. This is the time set aside for comments from the public on topics of city business other than those listed on the agenda. No action may be taken. Please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and keep your comments to no more than 5 minutes. Good. Consent agenda. Roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Fletcher Berry.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
6A, consideration of resolution number 2026-25, a resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement between the City of Windsor Heights and the Des Moines Public Library for the provision of library services. AJ,
Move in second first. Yeah.
go ahead. AJ.
It's fairly straightforward. 28E agreement is essentially a renewal with the city of Des Moines Library to continue their provision of services for Windsor Heights residents. So that would include physical distribution of materials as well as the digital materials. Our kind of headquarters is the Franklin Library just down the road to the east. This would be a 3-year agreement with a 3% annual increase to the cost to Windsor Heights each year. Did speak with the staff there at the library. They don't anticipate any significant changes to staffing hours or services for fiscal year 27. They are anticipating continued budget challenges going forward into fiscal year 28. There is the option to terminate the contract around the May timeframe if issues were to arise, but otherwise, if everything continues to operate fairly smoothly, which I'm under the impression it has, we would have a 3-year agreement with them going forward into the fiscal year 2030.
All right. Discussion or questions?
So you said that if they do have, just so I know that I heard this correctly, the fiscal year 28, if they have any type of financial, they'll come back to us if they're going to increase us by more than 3%. Is that how that, or?
Nope, we are locked in at 3%. I just note that, if there was a significant cut in services, it might be something we would wish to revisit in the future, year 2 or 3 of the contract, and there is a provision in the contract that would allow us to revisit that.
Do we have to give them 60-day notice that we're looking at this, or what's the?
Yeah, before May for the next fiscal year.
Oh.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Fletcher Berry.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
6B, consideration of FY26 Public Works ERP purchase.
So moved.
Second.
Andy?
My name is Andy Larson, Public Works Director for the City of Windsor Heights. Good evening, Mayor, Council. Before you tonight is the request to purchase a classified vehicle for our Public Works Department. This vehicle is scheduled to replace truck number 1 and truck number 4. Truck number 1 is a 2006 Chevy Silverado that's got just shy of 90,000 miles on it. That's primarily used within the Parks Department. Truck number 4 is a 1990 Chevy Cheyenne dump truck. And I think if you remember, like a year ago or so, I had a nice PowerPoint showing the trucks themselves and the conditions that they were in. Truck number 4 serves in our streets department. Basically is kind of a utility vehicle that hauls all sorts of things that we do just from an operations standpoint. That truck odometer reading is just under 50,000 miles. What we are not unable to determine the accuracy of that, just given the time frame of almost 30 years of service, 30, however many years that is.
I'm feeling personally attacked.
48,000 miles for that truck. It
You
is.
didn't have to bring up the number of year.
Yeah. Truck number 1 is starting to have some engine issues. It's just kind of a constant kind of maintenance truck. We so far have continued on a maintenance plan with that. Nothing has been too substantial at this point, but it is starting to get to the end of its service life as well. For this fiscal year 26, we budgeted $120,000 for the purchase of this vehicle. Contacted Stivers Ford and Carl Chevrolet, secured pricing for them under the state contract. The equipment upfit is also under state contract as well. So we have competitive pricing from the DAS. a little bit of work, and you can kind of see outlined in the schedule. The standard options that were part of the base bids weren't apples to apples. The recommendation before you tonight is to proceed with the purchase from Carl Chevrolet. But getting kind of apples to apples, there's some limitations on the Ford from just a stock kind of base bid item where there'd be some other upgrades requirements to get kind of the same usage out of that. And bottom line is they're pretty competitive when you compare the size of the trucks, the capabilities of the trucks, just a difference of right around a few $1,000s. With the recommendation of the Public Works Committee, it is my recommendation also to proceed with that purchase. I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Andy, I didn't see do we have a guesstimate of how much we could sell the current truck for?
It's difficult to say just because it would go up on the auction block.
Yeah.
To be quite honest with you, I would be ecstatic if we got $1,000 for it.
All right.
So
We
Keep
talked
it up
about
in my
that.
head, did you?
We talked about that at Public Works and that was the question that I asked and I think we all were like, well, okay, well, that's really not even licensing fees.
All right.
Good news is we don't have to pay those,
True.
so we're money ahead. Thank you.
Other questions? Roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Fletcher Berry.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
6C, consideration of resolution number 2626, a resolution setting the public hearing on the adoption of the proposed code of ordinances of the city of Windsor Heights.
Second.
AJ or
The other Adam.
other Adam?
We're moving too quickly, sorry.
Very quick tonight. Going. Get this pulled up. Yeah, so it's been a long process going on, but we're finally getting to the finish line, just for everyone's awareness in the audience. So this project was a code review, where we went through the full code and looked for any updates. A lot of it is going to be procedural updates, just bringing things up to date with how the city currently operates. Looking at opportunities to potentially add anything. I'll touch on two. One was like the trap, neuter, release, and community cats policy or ordinance that would be a part of this, but just going through and making sure it's up to snuff, got legislative changes in there, and just good to go for the city to operate on. Like I mentioned, overall, the majority of the changes are going to be administrative, clarifying in nature, updating definitions with pretty few policy changes. First, tonight we've gone over, last year was the first time we went over, presented the first 60 chapters, and then there was a couple sessions after that where we went over the rest of the proposed changes. These changes were brought on either by staff feedback or from our codification services. Simmering Corey is who we work with our code to host it online and who's been helping us through this project. We have the draft here, which was in the packet. I've got it up on the screen, so move to it every so often. But in there, just on this last pass through, Simmering Corey had a few more prompts for us to look at. These prompts, I'll go over those first before we kind of go into that public hearing and the plan for that. But these prompts were fairly minimal, just more of kind of clarifying on here, and we'll jump into that here. Mouse isn't working. But here we go. All right, so this first section that they prompted us on is going to be this duty defense section. We're adding in these few lines, just a couple lines here. Sorry, let me move the screen here so I can use the scroll. My mouse scroller is not working right now, so. Oh goodness. Oh, I get nervous speaking.
Is your page that you need?
39, 34. All right.
Yeah.
Here we go. All right. So it's going to be in this duty to defend section. We're adding these two highlighted sentences. So what they mainly do is it's going to help clarify this section and expand the city's duty to defend and indemnify officers and employees, including extending coverage to boards and commissions. It's being pulled from state code, so it is just aligning this section better with state code. So that is that change there. And as I'm going through, please feel free to stop and interject any questions. The next section, I'm not going to jump to it on here, but it's going to be on our petty cash fund section. It's being proposed to remove that section. The city no longer has a petty cash fund that we maintain. So it is a section of the code that is no longer needed. Next one here is page 60. I'm going to jump to this. I keep doing that. But it is going to be the mayor compensation and the council compensation. And before I go, nothing's changing with compensation. It might sound scary, but it's going to be a minor. So Simi Corey, they just brought it up because they were just concerned about the wording and just making sure it was transparent with the city operating. So that's why they flagged this section. I did talk with Aaron already, the city attorney, and confirm that the language that we currently have in there is okay. We are making a small update just to say Midwest CPI instead of CPI in there. So it's just that small addition of that word Midwest, but we are good with the wording that we have in there. And again, nothing, it won't impact compensation. So no, we touch those sections can be scary a little bit, but it is all good there. And then page 68. So we do have, this is in the council chapter where we just have a list of appointments and it's just going to be adding in public works director there. It's just a consolidated list of appointed officials. $77. So this is going to be in the finance director chapter. Currently, this code just ordinance says that the clerk is the finance director, which is no longer how we operate. I'm not the finance director. So it's we do have a finance director position in the city now. So it's updating the code to mirror other appointed officials where the finance director is appointed and then the compensation is also set by resolution when they are appointed. So it's just bringing that language to current operations. All right, so these next two I'm going to touch on are code sections that we did not have, staff didn't have any recommendations for updating of these sections, but we did want to call them out for council, just in case you guys had any feedback on these sections. This first one is going to be council meeting rules of conduct, and we'll read through that. Oh, we're setting the public hearing for about a month out, so we're giving you time to review these. So what this section is going to be is the rules of conduct for meetings. So this is going to go over anyone in the audience, rules of conduct for them. And again, they looked all up to snuff, up to how we're operating in, remind me, Adam, too, it was in 2020.
2022, there's the
2022, council had passed a rules of conduct, it's not the document title,
rules
but
of procedure.
rules and procedures of council. And this section and the next section I'll talk on both align with that. So again, based on those rules and procedures, did not feel like there's any needed changes there, but if council does review that and think there needs to be some tweaks there, we're happy to make this. Yes. Oh, the next one is jumped onto here, but it's just a few pages down here, but still in the council chapter. But it's going to be the expectations. So this one, where the previous one was about audience members, this section is going to be about council members' expectations. And again, based on that rules and procedures policy that was passed a couple years ago, we didn't feel that there was any needed updates to this section. But again, review, and if you feel that there should be any updates, let us know. So next on here. All right, so this is going to be new language, and it does mirror some other cities too. This will be in the city attorney chapter, representation of city employees. So what this section is this language that city attorney will not represent city officials or employees in personal matters. However, the city attorney would still be able to represent them in city matters that arise from the performance or official duties of the employee. 20. Yeah, it might not be there. But the next section is open dumping prohibited. So there was language that was moved during the 2016 legislative session. We chose the option of removing it from the code, but it is still in state code. So PD, public safety will still be able to write tickets or write towards this open dumping violations, but it will be able to pursue the higher penalties of up to $5,000. Next one is 157. So this is going to be in our nuisance enumerated chapter. And what this list is just an enumeration of different public nuisance. Go the wrong way. My numbers got mixed up. And so these are just an enumerated list of different nuisances that can happen in the city, like noise violations. And there was one in here, prostitution, gambling, gang activity. So Simmering Corey did recommend removal and talked with the police chief. And since this one is more than a simple misdemeanor, Simmering Corey recommended the removal from this list because we wouldn't be able to pursue it through the city code. But it's still a crime. Just it's more than a nuisance, so it was removed from this section. So it's still something our public safety would go after. So removing it from here does not change any of that. All right, so next section here. This is also going to be yes. This one is also going to be a new language added there to our sanitary sewer system. This one also met with Public Works Director Andy. It's abandoned sewer lines. So it's just putting in there establishes requirements for properly terminating abandoned sewer connections. So make sure that people have to properly abandon it, seal it up, and one that is not in that draft there, but will be, is that is also going to be a tagline on there as directed by the superintendent as well. So those were the changes from those last set of final prompts that Simmering Corey provided us. Like I said, pretty minor in changes there. And that is any questions on any of those? Perfect. All right. So then next in the draft, you'll find that there's going to be purple text throughout, and those are going to be those legislative changes. And also in the packet is going to be a chapter by chapter summary of changes for each chapter and section. And in that chapter by chapter summary, I did go through and kind of compare the legislative language versus what's currently in there to try and give you a summary of what those legislative changes are. So you'll be able to read through those, get a feel of what those changes, how they impacted our code. But just a note on those, they're primarily technical in nature. Not major procedural changes for the city. There's a few like definition updates, updating like the tobacco sale chapter to reflect the change from 18 to 21 for purchasing. So a lot of changes like that from those legislative changes. Right, so next steps is going to be having that public hearing and also the first reading. Did recommend to set that for May 4th, so that's going to be a month out. So that was to give council time to review the draft and digest anything because it is a lot. When I did that chapter by chapter summary, I did go home with a little bit of a headache. So it's a lot to take in and it's a lot to absorb. So I wanted to give ample time. And if we feel you need one more meeting after that, it's kind of, but I put out there a month out, so May 4th to do that public hearing. Also give time for anybody, if anything comes up, any questions come up during that time, feel free to send them my way. If you want to have a sit down one-on-one to go over anything to understand like why maybe staff recommended this, why this is changing, very happy to do that. With the caveat, I'm out on vacation the 13th to the 21st, 22nd, but
Well,
So-
where are you going? Can we take we'll travel with you.
No, go to another country, so you
Oh.
feel free to come along. More the merrier. But Adam's been, I don't know what happened there. There, it's back. So I feel before I leave, we'd be able to connect and
We'll
make
reach
sure.
out. We can either wait till Adam's back or I can.
Yeah,
talk
but we'll
to
make
those
sure, before, I do want to make sure that everyone's comfortable with these updates. Big project, I'm excited to get over the finish line, but I do want to make sure council is comfortable with it. And also that month does give staff the chance to publicize the public hearing, make sure that residents know. So residents can feel on board with those changes. And also if you have any questions to reach out to me as well, I'd be happy to answer any questions. At the public hearing, but any questions, feedback, send them me and we can talk.
Okay.
And then because also tired of that, like I said a couple times, is a lot of administrative procedural updates, but there's one big notable one that for sure we want to make sure to get out in front of residents is that trap neuter release program. That's going to be new as part of this code update and new ordinance that we've been working with the ARL on. So that'll be something we'll just want to make sure that we're publicizing that and getting in front of residents. So again, that month really helps us to allow to do that. See here. And so as far as that is just, setting that public hearing. And then at that time when we finish up the readings, the fee schedule, because part of this update was taking fees from the code and putting them in all our fees into a fee schedule. It's much easier for the city to maintain that way instead of having what was one fee in there? I'll just pull it from my head is this might not be in there currently, but example, like a permit fee being set at like $25 when that ordinance was set multiple years ago, and that any time and the administrative costs might be up to like 75. Again, that's not what I'm saying is actual factual. I'm just kind of pulling an example here, but it will be easier for the city to adjust those fees instead of having to go through the ordinance process. And it's cheaper for the city too, because we won't have to publish those public hearings and publish the ordinance. So do you see it as a cost saving measurement for the city as well, putting all our fees into the fee schedule. But once we do that final reading on the code, we'll pass that at the same time. So those align. Links up there. So once it passed, it'll be the implementation of trap neuter release program. And then just kind of steps that staff is putting into place to continue to make sure that the code is up to date and making sure that we're getting any legislative changes in. So we'll be having an annual review process that we'll implement to catch any of those legislative changes. I also plan to do quarterly, just a kind of a sweep of the metro, see what other neighboring cities are passing in ordinances. So that way we can our code can continue to stay up to date with the metro as a whole. So we're not falling behind on any ordinances. We can keep up to date with Joneses next door.
We have two Joneses here, so that's very important.
As it came out, I was like, you zingers in me. And then just a couple other ordinances that they're on the horizon. They weren't at a place yet to be a part of this update. First one is going to be the setup program ordinance with Fire Chief Jim Mace. He's actually working with the state right now through the application process to go through with the setup program. So we're holding off on that ordinance piece until he gets a status update or further information from the state. So that one is going to be one that's on the horizon. And then also an e-bike ordinance, which that's another one. Yes, that is a big topic, been a big topic. So that one is one that is on the horizon, but again, that's a hefty ordinance. So that one is Police Chief, Police Chief Pete Roth is leading, and it will be presenting later in the year.
So that won't be part of this. Is that what
No,
you're saying?
yep,
Okay.
yep. Just kind of, just given kind of there's ordinances that are going to be kind of falling right up after this, but they just weren't in a place yet to be a part of this and pass with this. All right. Any questions? Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Yes.
Thanks for the chapter by chapter summary. That is really helpful.
Yes, yes.
So I know it was probably exhausting, but thank you.
Yes, it was exhausting, but it was actually like I like kind of doing that work, so it was a little bit of a headache, but it was good to see that all there, and it helped me too as I was going through. It was also kind of a double triple check for me to catch anything that Samory and Corey might have missed. So
Makes it easier on us, I'm not gonna lie, because that's a lot to go through for you guys.
yeah,
Try to understand,
Yeah.
even in a month.
yes. Yes, and like I said, if you feel like maybe you might need till the May 18th meeting, feel you can amend the resolution to be that public hearing on May 18th instead, if you feel like a month might not be long enough, but up to you guys. But the May 4th was just the recommendation I put out there.
Would this all go into effect as soon as we approve it, or would it become in effect like in July? So it really doesn't matter if we do it, if we start May 18th, because we still have until July 1st, basically, or is it after we approve that and have the 3 hearing, then that will go in?
Yes. Yep. So it'd be after the 3 hearings. It's
And
what-
publication.
Yeah. So technically it's about 10 days after publication. Is that it?
It's just publication,
Just public.
but the publication takes a little bit.
Yeah.
Right, so
Yeah. So it'd be,
your timeline's gonna run pretty close to that.
Okay.
yeah, I would say, yeah, because I would say something recommendation would just be with something this big to allow all 3 readings, to go through all 3 readings, not waive a 3rd one. So yeah, if you start on May 4th, May 18th, and then April. No, it's April
So
now.
June.
Months are hard. So you'd be looking about June 3rd or June 4th for that final reading. And then we would get that published. So about mid-June would be the effective.
So basically July in
Mhm.
You're
essence.
pretty close.
Yeah.
If you keep on this schedule.
Fine. Any questions? Ready for roll call now?
Yes.
Roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Fletcher Berry.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
All right. Reports. An older report of mine is in the packet. I'll get a new one next council meeting. Ms. Harms. Okay. Ms. Campbell.
This is my first meeting I've attended since March 2nd, so I've got quite a few line items. March 11th, I attended the Bravo board meeting where I spoke out quite vocally about our support for Bravo. There's a community that has ended their 28E agreement over their $1,500 funding, and just one item that they get for the schools, the Passport to Culture, is worth $4,500. So every school child in that district, in I think it's fifth grade, normally get to go see an event, and that city has terminated their contract over their 2080 agreement over $1,500. And what a short-sighted decision that was. So, if you heard hollering, it was me that morning down at the principal building. And then also on the 11th, Adam Strait and I met with the Art Center to discuss public art opportunities, and it was a really great conversation. And of course, the Art Center is an amazing partner for us. March 19th was the public safety meeting. March 20th, special events committee meeting. March 25th, I got to present with Casey from Bolton and Mink at the Iowa Parks and Recreation Association conference in Sioux City about Colby Park and our special events. And while many in attendance were from the Metro, it was really great to see how many things that Susan and I are doing with special events that they're like, oh, that's a great idea. And they've got like a full staff of people that are doing special event programming. So the 26th, I attended the Communications and Public Art Committee meeting. And tomorrow I'm attending DART. That's all.
Barry?
Yep, March 18th, attended the Public Works Committee meeting. On the 24th, attended Polk County Emergency Management's Lunch and Learn for a deeper dive into Alert Iowa. Glad to know that there'll be a segment on that in our newsletter for this coming month, correct? So I encourage residents to use that as a tool to stay informed on inclement weather as that approaches. Also on the 24th, with the mayor and Susan, attended Heart Space Massage grand opening. On the 28th, attended talk with officials for Windsor Heights. Again, this is just an opportunity for residents to hear from your officials at the State House as well as the mayor. Due to our community's Earth Day celebrations, we're not going to have an April edition of that. And then on April 2nd, along with the mayor and Susan, attended Dinner Dispatch's grand opening. So,
Jones?
Attended a special meeting of the council about 45 minutes ago. That's great. We do have DART tomorrow. Lauren's going to cover as I have a work event. We are in the midst of our hiring process for our CEO and doing interviews for that. So the commission decided for the executive committee to serve as the search committee. So I'm a part of that along with Mayor Bozen and Bridget from Urbandale and Mayor O'Connor, and who am I missing? Todd Schaefer from Ankeny. Schaefer,
That was
not Schaefer,
quick.
Todd.
Pardon?
What's Todd's last name?
Schaefer.
It's Schaefer. Okay. Yeah.
That was quick. I'm impressed.
Yeah. So it's been a good.
Mhm.
We're rolling. So we'll see what happens.
So have you opened it up? Are you like you already have everybody that's in? You have the interview list and kind of wow.
Applications closed on the 31st, March 31st.
Yeah.
Exec met last week to determine eligible candidates.
That is
Move forward
impressive.
with interviews next week.
Yeah.
Good for you on DART.
Yeah.
Is there a public list or?
No.
No.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't.
That's right. No, that's it. That's all. I
You
got.
just like, wow.
Yeah. We did move pretty quickly, but I think as an exec committee, we work pretty efficiently together. So.
That's curious.
March, kind of like everybody else, I attended Public Works and Special Events Committee meetings. Joined Mayor Jones and Fletcher for the Heart Space massage ribbon cutting. Seems like kind of all saying the same things. The 26th, I visited Cecil and Iris. I'll never get Cecil right, but they help. Center of
Independent living. Or
Yes,
Central
yes.
Iowa, Center of Independent living.
Yes, at their open house at the Park Fair Mall. And it was probably one of the most interesting and eye-opening events that I've attended as a council member. So I learned a lot. And I'm actually working with Mary Francis, who's a hoot. If you haven't met her, she is a trip. She has more energy than I think all of us up here have. But working with Iris now to plan what movie in the park that she will have her clients come to so that they can have audio descriptions for the blind. So everyone in our community can enjoy the show. I'm also working with Jeff from Funflix to see if we can put closed caption on the screen. It doesn't work well with the way we turn the movie around, or however you want to say what we do. So everything would look backwards. And we do that for safety reasons with all of the electrical devices and all of that with all the kids running around. So we're trying to figure out a way that we can make this work so that we can use closed captioning as well. Then that same night, I attended the Million Trees at the West End Salvage and got to look at all the great work that they've been doing this year. I will admit there's a $25 tree program that looked really interesting, but I haven't done any of the work looking into the program. So I do have the QR code in all fairness on as a picture. So I'm getting to it, I swear. Like Fletcher said, I joined Mayor Jones and Fletcher at the Talk with Officials event on the 28th. Just great to hear from Representative Comfirst, Supervisor McCoy, and of course, Mayor Jones. And happy to report that I was on my best behavior. I didn't ask a single question about dispatch or anything like that. So I was very proud of myself. Made it to the Chambers AM Exchange on the 31st, which had a fantastic turnout. Rounded out the week with a Metro Waste Executive Board meeting. And then, as everybody else said, the ribbon cutting with Dinner Dispatch. Great to see their new location, and the West Side Chamber did a great job hosting. Also want to say it was great to see Adam Strait there. Quick Earth Day event. We're celebrating Earth Day here on the 24th, I believe. 25th. I knew it was 24th or 5th, but the planning is in full swing. Right now, we have 7 people signed up for the cleanup and 1 person ready to help with Saturday morning setup. We've got a total of 3 volunteers for the actual event, and I have to give a huge thank you to the Berry family because they currently make up the majority of our volunteer list. That said, we're still looking for more hands on deck. We'll be pushing more social media posts soon, but if you could spread the word, we'd love to see more friendly faces helping out. Looking ahead, this Thursday is Wake Up Windsor Heights, starting at 7:30 in the morning at Peterson Painting. If you're planning, right?
Yes.
If you're planning to come, please make sure to RSVP so we have an accurate head count. That's it.
Our trees, did I tell you our Tree City application was approved?
Yes, but I wanted to get that for April, but you said you'd get back to me, but
Well,
I don't know what it is. So I didn't know how to publicize it.
so since then, we've officially been approved. I think they're gonna give us something. They're gonna give us something.
Unclear.
Okay,
Is this with Arbor Day?
yeah,
I think you
it's
just get
it's been a 3-year process.
I think you just get a sign as you enter into the city.
Yeah, I think we get a sign.
Yeah.
So,
That sign is gonna be Mike Jones's sweat and tears, I swear.
write my name on it. When is that event?
I think that's a misdemeanor for tagging things
But
in the code.
I'll defend myself. Wednesday. It's this Wednesday? Okay,
you know what they say about the person that defends themselves.
yes, I know. Can 2026 city construction updates?
Yes, as we're into construction season, just a few quick updates for everyone. The water access project is proceeding nicely. It is on a couple of week hiatus, so the contractor is demobilized down there, anticipating them to be back at work in approximately 2 weeks. Right now, we do have the trail continue to be blocked off, and so the reroute is going around the pavilion through the parking lot, back north up to Walmart or south of the pavilion. If it looks like that's going to extend longer, we'll probably plan to reopen that trail, but we lean towards the direction of keeping it closed for 2 weeks as opposed to causing confusion over opening and closing of it. They anticipate being done by May 31st. That would be any of the concrete that needs to work in the tree plantings, finished grading and seeding out there. So hopefully be fully complete with that before we really start our city programming in the park this summer. 68th Street, the gravelled portion of 68th Street south of University is anticipated to start work to getting that paved April 13th, weather permitting. Anticipating that take about 2 months. If you looked at the Public Works Committee meeting minutes, you did see that there is some additional rework that's going to happen on other areas around the curb as well. The impact to the residents of those areas should be significantly less than the full reconstruction that took place last year. They should be able to work on one side and then the other side to try to limit those impacts. But we're currently working with the contractor to discuss what that looks like, and then we'll plan to hold an open house with 68th Street residents to get them up to speed on the next steps of completing that project to specs. 73rd Street, I have listed in here that the final portion of stage 2 and 3 was anticipated to start April 13th. It looks like the 70th Street contractor for Des Moines Waterworks is close to wrapping up, probably mid-April. So we have pushed back the start date for 73rd Street, and new notifications went out, I believe it was yesterday or today. So we're looking more about the 20th now, 21st. That is anticipated to sync up with that reopening of 70th so that we've got Hickman Road access off of 70th for both left and right-hand turns once 73rd Street's no longer a through street between Hickman and University Avenue. Again, that 70th Street portion of the project right now is a Des Moines Waterworks project, as is the Hickman Road water main installation. And so we don't have jurisdiction over the Hickman portion, but we're trying to align these two projects, and the contractor on the concrete side is the same as well as with ours. So it works out that they can push that back a week. 74th Street reconstruction, that is a new project starting this year, a full street reconstruction between Wilshire and College. We just got a pre-construction meeting dialogue going on. Hopefully in the next week or so, we'll have that pre-con meeting. We've got a tree protection plan in place. If you've been down that street, you'll notice there's a beautiful bur oak just outside the right of way that we're working very hard to protect with the resident. And we're working with various residents that have some accessibility needs on that street as well. So hoping to see that project kick off here late April, early May. And they'll probably take through three sections of reconstruction throughout the duration of the fall into early winter. Happy to answer any questions you've got. Other than that, the code enforcement Q1 report is included in there as well.
Okay. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Fletcher Berry.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
All right. Exempt session. Pursuant to Iowa Code 2017 sub 3, council will go into exempt session or negotiating sessions, strategy meetings of public employers, mediation, and the deliberative process of arbitrators, which are exempt from the provisions of Chapter 21 and are closed to the public as well.